Jeff, ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Let's hit it.
Nick, ready? Yeah, I'm ready, guys. Okay, let's do it.
Because I gotta. All right.
Freshly picked and ready for consumption. Here comes another round of the Radishcast.
Another Radishcast coming in for you. I'm your fearless commissioner and number 3 overall draft pick, Mike Fisher. Along with me, just like every time, are my co-host Nick Stoll and Jeff first round by Gregory. Let's turn some rumors into facts. Jeff, you proud of that first round bye, or you a little salty about it?
You know, there's a lot of effort that goes involved to get a buy in any means, whether it's good or positive. So
good or positive, huh?
Good or
good
positive,
or
bad,
no bad. No bad at all. Normally when you're talking about buys, it's all positive, but in this situation, this is definitely a negative. But
yeah, it is either good or positive.
I would say so.
Nick, how you feeling coming out of rivalry week, going into the playoffs here?
I mean, I'd be lying to you if I felt good. If I told you I felt good, only beating.
Do you feel positive
freaking
though?
John. Not
you feel
really.
Good, or do you feel positive?
Probably good.
You feel good?
I probably feel more good than positive, to be honest with you. Yeah, only beating John by what? I don't even know what it was. Like
that was
10
a disgusting
points.
game.
Both.
Let's not talk about it.
Nasty.
I don't want to talk about it any longer than we have to later in the show.
Yeah, so that's I don't feel good. I don't feel positive either. So.
All right. Well, welcome in everybody. We got some fun stuff today. We're gonna go over some rivalries that all took place, and as well as prime ourselves for the playoffs a little bit here. So first, we got a couple just questions, news, notes, things like that. The first one is actually one that the question that while we were preparing for the live stream, this question came up and was asked, and I told Old Man Joe had the question. I said, wait, like save that for when we're recording, and then we all forgot what the question was. So it didn't make it into that show, so it's making it into this show. So the question was, people are starting to see all of these different drops we have for everybody. You'll probably see another new one for a new league member later on in the show. But the question was, how do you guys get those? Do you just coming up with those on the spot? So, we actually sat down, the three of us at the start of the year, and came up with what segments we wanted to do for the show and things we might want to do. And we actually ended up, just having some leftover room. We paid a voiceover actor to get all this stuff for us. We had a little extra room on the script, so we said, why not make up a segment for everyone in the show? So everyone's segments, everybody's got 2 segments, and they're all predetermined. So they all exist. They're all hanging out there. I won't tell you what any of them are until you end up on the show, because it's more fun that way. You guys got anything to add on that?
A lot of it was just last minute decisions too. I mean, we wrote that script. We were turning it in, I think, the day of or the next day, and we're like, we got a lot of words we just paid for, so let's come up with some other stuff. So it was fun to kind of incorporate some of the stuff that didn't make the first round that we were able to throw in there at the end ultimately.
Yeah. Nick, anything else?
No, yeah, you guys pretty much summed it up. It's pretty sweet that everyone has their own drop, though. Mike, is it 1 or 2 for everyone? It's only 1, right?
It was 1, and then Jeff came back through and added a second one for everyone, and then I went through Jeff's list. I changed a couple of them, but yeah, no, everyone has 2. Looking back, some of them are like, that one's not so great, but everyone's got at least 1 really good one, and then most people have 2 really good ones. Some of them weren't our best work because we were so crunched, but.
And the other thing, like too, Mike, the drops. I mean, those are just things that mostly you took the lead on finding all those, but
yeah, I just Googled.
There's some stuff. Yeah, there's some stuff where Nick and I will be like, hey, we just heard this. Can you add it? Can you incorporate it? And then Mike will go out and find it and throw it in there. So, it's always evolving. It's ever changing. And Mike, I guess you're getting a library of good drops for future shows.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, we had the voiceover actor, but we didn't have any of the, otherwise it's just a guy saying, Mike's against the expert's pick, and that's all it is. So I just started brainstorming as I was putting the audio files together, brainstorming, funny shows or movies that I could remember, or just Googling things that had to do with them just to add some extra flair to them. So that's what all the drops kind of take form. But yeah, no, that's a big fun part of the show for me. I really enjoy it. I enjoy surprising you guys. I purposely don't tell you most of the time what's coming up, just because I love to see your reactions live. So, yeah, we missed out on that one on the live stream, but I just wanted to circle back and touch on it for Joe's sake. I do want to touch on a couple other things. So the first one, I'm sure all of you saw in the league feed today, our longtime friend of the show, Tony Fisher, came through and put together a betting line for all of the games, as well as, a couple other things. But yeah, basically Tony's going to be our Las Vegas, and we can bet with Tony, and he's going to eat the losses. And he said in his message, any winnings will go back to the league in some way. And I told him he didn't need to do that. I texted him. I said, you don't need to do that. It's not, you're taking the risk. Why not, get the reward from it? And he said, yeah, it's not an option. I'm putting it back into the league. So longtime friend of the show, longtime friend of the league.
What a stud.
I know I am going to place probably a bet on every single game for the maximum $5. I'm trying to bankrupt Tony. What about you guys?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to get in on that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Tony's a pretty creative guy, so I think he'll come up with some pretty crazy lines and just little things to bet against. So yeah, so it'll be interesting. It's a new addition to the league that it'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Mike, can you tell these guys where everything's located too?
The lines and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, the lines. So Tony posts them in the league feed. So every Wednesday or Thursday, Tony's going to post all of his lines, his money lines, as well as his over-unders. And then to place a bet, all you got to do is Venmo Tony. So his Venmo is also out there in the league feed. So just send him a Venmo and tell him what you're betting on, and that bet will be live. Like I said, I'm going to send him several bets. And I haven't confirmed with Tony. Obviously Thursday night games will play a factor into it. So you'll have to follow up with him as to when those have to be placed by, whether it is before that Thursday game or if he'll allow some bets to come in after for games that don't have any big players Thursday or something like that. So that'll be curious, and you'll have to follow up with Tony on that. But
the other thing too, kind of Mike, another note is, and news to Tony, is we're now doing our covers and our bets off of the lines that Tony's going to put on these matchups. So
yep.
Tony will be providing those that we pick against, and also throwing them into the league so that everyone can pick against these. So
yeah, it's a great point. We had been taking it on ourselves to adjust the lines as we see fit, but now we got Tony doing it for us. So he's supporting the show as well as the league. So last item I want to check in on before we jump into to matchups last week is and I don't know how intensely you guys scour the show or the league document, but week 17 is the DFS Bowl. So Nick, longtime friend of the show, longtime host of the show, Nick is hosting our DFS Bowl. So basically he's going to pick a platform to do a daily fantasy, some sort of buy-in. So Nick, I'm sure, will act as the bank so that we're not paying, DraftKings or FanDuel to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be basically, since our playoffs end week 16, it's another way for us to use week 17 as still a competition for the league, and one that everybody's in. Playoffs is obviously, there's only 2 teams in the championship, a couple teams playing for third in the toilet bowl, but 17, everybody's active, everybody can be. So Nick, you got anything planned for that? Site picked out, anything?
Not too much. I'm going to decide the site. I know, what's the one you guys use? I use FanDuel mostly, but I think I'm probably going to go with the ones everyone else uses.
I use DraftKings typically, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah, we'll probably use DraftKings, and then for that one, I'll act as the bank, like Mike was saying. And then I'm thinking, if you guys want to, I know you probably can just, if you don't want to put your credit card in there or whatever, I can submit those if you just pay me a little extra in like the bigger games too. You just have to send it to me early enough. I'll get all that set up, and then probably week 16, I'll send out some stuff for that, and then get it early week 17, get all your lineups in.
And I will say
DraftKings is what I'm going to go with. So
I will say, for anybody in the league who isn't currently using DraftKings or anything, rather than just signing up, why don't you just reach out to any of us? You know, I have an account, Nick has an account, Tony has an account. Jeff, do you?
No, I don't. So this is good information.
There's referral bonuses where, you know, if you reach out to one of us and say, hey, can you just refer me real quick? You get rewards, we get rewards, you know, so we may as well get some free money out of it. So I
think I'll just go ahead and create my own then.
Yeah, fuck you. No, but yeah, if you, so just a little note on the side. If you are creating it for the first time, I'm sure a lot of you will be. It is just, you know, you get free money to play with, and then you can try to win stuff in other games too. So, you guys got anything else?
Nope.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's hop into it.
This here's the Radish Recap.
All right, Radish Recap coming for you. So coming into this week, before these games we're about to talk about, the records sit at Jeff at 19-5, me 2 games back at 17-7, and Nick another 2 games back at 15-9. So obviously these games are going to play into that. We'll see how it shook out at the end of this. So first game I want to take a look at is the Taint Ticklers and Coach Nick Stoll against Ball is Life and Coach John Lamers. I picked this one to be first because I want it to be over with as soon as possible. Nick pulled out the win at 75-63, which was just disgusting. We all got it right. We all picked Nick to win and to cover his 3-point line, but really at what cost? You know, Jeff, I'll let you take a starting crack at this one because I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, I just want to. I think Nick, you might have asked Mike a few shows ago. You know, will anyone score less than 64 points? And I think Mike, you said no, it won't happen. But to everyone's surprise, and I guess not really everyone's, but Ball is Life was under that 64 mark. He somehow managed to get a total score of 63.68, which is pretty impressive. So didn't think that would happen, but if anyone's going to do it, John would do it.
Oh God.
Yeah,
this was easily, you know, just to touch on this game, this was easily the worst game of the week, and I don't really want to spend too much time on this because it was pretty pathetic on both sides of the ball. But you know, when Cam Akers is your best player, John, you haven't even played him most of these weeks, and you just threw him in there. He scored the most points on your team. And then, you know, Nick, you had thankfully enough out of Wilson and Kamara to pull this win out. But like you mentioned it, a win's a win. And I guess that's the only positive you could probably take from this.
Yeah, I you know, watching this live, you know, I was following the games extra close this week with all the rivalries and everything like that. And this was an exciting one, right? We're going into some of those late games, and it's like, you know, this is really neck and neck, and they got a lot of guys to go yet, and you know, Judy and Clyde, both in that Sunday night game, put up just terrible games. So it's like, okay, well, you know, John was sitting pretty even, but now he's kind of fallen out. Nick then has Gibson go out and get hurt, you know, in the first drive or first couple drives of the game. So he didn't put up anything. So it's like, okay, now John's got a chance again. And then Zach Moss comes out and puts up 2 points. And so it was like, okay, well, that's the most anticlimactic thing ever. It was just crazy, you know. I kept thinking it was going to go one way or the other, and then just nothing happened. Nick, what about you? You know, obviously you were a big part of this game, and 75 points is nothing to be excited about.
Sadly, I was a big part of this game. I mean, let's just start, make me feel a little better, and hit the drop there, Mike.
Nick's bum of the week.
Spare any change, sir? No, off!
So thank goodness the bum of the week was on John Lamer's team. I mean, there's a bunch to pick from on his team and mine, both really. I picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire because going into that later game, they weren't sure if he was going to play or not. Then he was active. John slid him into his lineup. And then he was just basically the emergency back. He really didn't get any touches at all. So bum of the week on that aspect. Really, it's Andy Reid that's a bum of the week for doing that to John. But thank you, Andy.
Andy Reid,
yeah,
big
Wilson,
longtime friend of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Russell Wilson. I don't know what's going on with Seattle. It's scary going to playoffs and Gibson going down. My team's not looking good. Maybe I can pull something off similar to this against Cooley because I can't see myself putting up too many points next week, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Jeff, before we move on from this, I'll give you one more of these.
Jeff's worst coach of the week.
Yep, we touched on it. To no surprise, John, you're the worst coach of the week. And actually, Troy made it pretty interesting this week. It was kind of a tough decision between him and John, but ultimately got to go with Ball is Life as the worst coach of the week. I mean, not playing Stafford, I think if my math is correct, if you would have played Stafford over Trubisky, you would have walked away with the win here. But just an all-around pathetic performance, Johnny.
Yeah, and with that, let's move on to maybe a little bit more exciting of a game, but still a blowout. So the Southwestern Bandicoots and Coach Kyle Stankowski taking on Benny of the Jets and then Coach Ben Stelzer. So Stank was a 2-point favorite, took the 141-98 win, just absolutely nuts. So you guys both called this one right. You guys both had Stank. I put my faith in Ben, but no Will Fuller, no good for Benny. Nick, what'd you see in this one?
Yeah, just looking at Kyle is hot. I would not want to play him in the playoffs. I think he's going to go pretty far, to be honest with you. The last couple of weeks, he's been putting up what he put up last week too in the 140s as well, or 130. He put up a lot of points.
Yeah.
So everyone on his team went off. Devontae with 29 points. There's not a bad person. Everyone was solid to upper tier. When you look at all these guys, Robinson continues to ball out. Watson. Yeah, he's a tough team going forward. I do not want to play him.
Yeah, Jeff, how about you? What do you see in this one?
Yeah, kind of to Nick's point, just kind of had a feeling that Stank's team was gonna have a good week. His guys have been hot. Even Aguilar with only 5.8 points. I think it was the second to last play. They missed a bomb to him. So if he catches that, he easily skyrockets up there. So if I wouldn't want to be playing Stank anytime soon. Benny, his team, we will touch on it here later, but without Will Fuller, you really saw the downtick in points with MVS getting him a total of 0 points. So that's a big swing that he's missing on his team. And unfortunately, Devin Booker, or I think his name is Devin, isn't it? But Booker didn't really perform like I thought he was going to with Jacobs off. It's Devontae, but wasn't a great performance by any means by Booker. So yeah. I thought it was going to be a good play. I played him in my other league back home and didn't work out.
Yep. I 100% agree. Yep. On paper, especially against the Jets, it seemed like he was going to be a slam dunk, but did not work out that way. So, I think that's really just the case of there's a lot of these second-tier running backs, these backup change-of-pace running backs that look good when they are a change of pace, but then they get thrown into the full role and they can't really take advantage. It seems to be a pretty common theme this year. It seems to have happened to a couple guys. So moving on to the next one, let's take a look at Jay's Juggernauts and Coach Jake Gregory against Old Man Joe and Coach Joe Thomas. So Joe was a 6-point favorite. Jeff picked himself. I said he was crazy. And Joe took the 103-80 victory. So me and Nick got this one right, and due to Jeff being pressured into a live on-air bet, me and Nick pick up a double win for this one. so that'll help us collect ourselves. So, I did reach out to Joe earlier today. He is picking an AJ Brown jersey, Jeff. So that's what you're buying for him due to this. Especially because of the injury. That's the reason he kept going back to. Is you root for an AJ Brown injury, so he has to make you pay up on an AJ Brown jersey. So, Nick, I'll throw this one over to you first. What you see in this one?
Yeah, Joe continues to be solid. He didn't get much out of Sanders, or AJ Brown for that matter. I think that's a good pick by him. Just stick it back to Jeff, being a dick, rooting for injuries.
Yeah.
just pile on Jeff. But yeah, Cousins had a good game. He's had some good games here lately. It kind of scares me because he's the type of guy that you just keep starting, you get some confidence in, and then he'll just lay an egg for you and get like 10 points.
Yeah.
So going forward, maybe you can rely on him to get him out of the toilet bowl. So, yeah. Jeff, your team, it just keeps hurting, man.
Yeah, just not clicking. Because really, you look at Jeff's team, and there's a lot of players to like on this team. Amari Cooper's been playing good all year, even with Andy Dalton. He's been pretty solid. Matt Ryan has that ability. Kenyon Drake going into the year, you thought was going to be such a good play. Josh Jacobs, Evan Ingram has always been touted as having a lot of talent. Terry McLaurin. When I look at Jeff's team, there's a lot to be excited about. But everyone on that team has just not been putting it together this year so far. Jeff, what are you thinking about this matchup?
Yeah, no, I to that point, 13.8 out of Cooper being the highest scorer. I'm not going to win very many games with that. It's just the names of the guys sound promising and sound good, but just the performances aren't matching up. I do like that Tua was back as the starter. He's starting to have a connection here with Gesicki that I think I got to monitor going forward here, and maybe a play for the playoffs after this bye week. But, to Joe's point, an AJ Brown jersey is going to be a sweet jersey to wear just in general. That's he's going to be around. He's going to be dominating for a long time in his career. And I'm happy with that choice on his end. I wish I could have got, maybe a Ridley or a McLaurin jersey, but
you can just buy.
There's always next year.
Just buy 2 AJ Brown jerseys. You can match with them.
I'll wait for the buy one get one free deal that they throw out there, and I'll just get one for myself.
There you go. Yeah, if I was him, the only other one I would have considered is Deebo Samuel, and that's just because I love how Deebo Samuel plays. I just think it's awesome. That dude's just a monster. But I don't like San Francisco, so I probably would have went AJ Brown too.
Yeah.
All right, hopping into our next matchup. So the Aaron Rodgers football team and Coach Tony Fisher versus I am left-handed and Coach Kyle Monroe. The battle for the division had Kyle as a 9-point favorite, and Kyle took that and more. The 147-120 victory. 2 high-scoring teams on the week. So this was really a shootout the whole way. We all picked it wrong. We all thought it was going to be a real tight one. And really, it could have gone either way. You see Tony putting up 120. That's a good game. Like Josh Allen with 30 points, Justin Jefferson with 23 points. He had guys that could have kept him in this game. The difference to me just came down to Darren Waller. I mean, you don't see tight ends get 200 yards very often, and that was 100% the difference in this game. Everyone else was solid for Kyle, which has always been his thing. Be solid, have one person go off, and this was just a bad week for Tony as far as just catching it at the wrong time. He wins a lot of games at 120 points. Nick, I'll maybe throw this one to you first. What else you seeing?
Yeah, Darren Waller with 30 or 38.5. That's huge. I thought he was going to go off for 50, as I said in the stat or the chat earlier, because he had that early. He had a lot of points early in those 2 touchdowns. I think by halftime, if I'm not mistaken.
He had 2 touchdowns early in the second quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, he was going off. But yeah, looking at this, Kyle's team is just stacked. Yeah, just hoping for someone to boom out, and normally on a week-to-week basis, someone will on that team. So going forward, I don't know if Swift's going to be back for Tony. I think he is. I haven't looked at anything today about Swift's concussions. Have you guys heard anything?
He's back practicing, limited the last 2 days, but every time I read something, it says he's back practicing, but they just don't sound promising about it. They sound every tweet, everything you see on it is kind of cryptic. Like, yeah, he's back, like he's kind of around, but it's not like nothing sounds promising. Like he's doing good. He's and nothing like that. So if I had him, I wouldn't play him this week because it's just so tough. You don't know if he's really feeling better from that. He just everything's been so cryptic about it that I wouldn't.
And Tony's got the luxury of, he's probably got the most running back depth out of any team in the league. So, he's got options to kind of replace Swift. Swift is a guy that can get him a lot of points pretty quickly, but Eckler, Carson, Mostert, if he decides to go with that same matchup that he did this week. So
I did see today, Mostert, I thought was going to be fantastic the rest of the way. I thought when he came back, he was going to be a really strong play, but I did see a quote today from Raheem Mostert himself saying that his ankle's not 100% and he knows it won't be all year. So he's basically playing through pain. He's playing through that ankle. So that's not something that gives you a lot of confidence when a guy, he's toughing it out. He's out there, but as far as fantasy is concerned, if he's not at 100%, I mean, he makes his money by being fast and powerful. And if he doesn't have an ankle at 100%, he's not going to get that. So,
and we've seen from the 49ers, they ride the hot hand. It really doesn't matter out of all four of their running backs, whoever's playing good, they'll feed them and they'll put up big points. So it's hard to predict sometimes if they are all healthy. So, just to comment on this one was a high scoring affair by both two heavyweight teams. Easily got the most points between this matchup. So I don't know. Going forward, you don't want to run against Kyle and you don't really want to run into Tony on the right matchup. I think if you do run up against, especially against Kyle, you're hoping that all of his guys are down and he doesn't get that performance like Darren Waller put up for him. So
it's funny how this all played out because one of them, Kyle ends up getting the bye, and now Tony gets to go up against the buzzsaw that is Stank right now. So it's those are the three teams that we've consistently said, we don't want to play. We don't want to run into those teams, and they're all on the same side of the bracket here for the championship. So it's interesting how that all played out. That one seed doesn't seem like such a great place to be right now with those guys. The winner of that game being the one you got to plate. But this game had the number 1 and the number 4 scoring teams on the week in it. I do want to just take a look at hop on to our next game, which had the number. I believe 3 and the number 5 scoring teams on the week, which is my game against Cooley. So the Exalted Archduke Fish versus Grizzly Adams. Cooley was a 1-point favorite. We were both projected to score right around 98, 99 points. Ended up being 133 to 117 game that Cooley pulled out. So, I going into this game, I thought I had a chance, and really I did. My guys put up 117. That was a solid game for what I've been doing lately, but I gotta say we give Cooley shit and we talk about how bad his lineup is all the time, but 133 points, he beats most teams this week, and he's his team's putting it together. Corey Davis has been playing well lately. Deontay Johnson's been playing well. We keep coming back to the fact that he just doesn't have a running back to play, and that holds true. I mean, that's not going away. He doesn't have anyone that he can plug into there, especially with Frank Gore hurt now. So I still struggle to really endorse Cooley in any game, but he's getting it done. What do you guys see in this one? Jeff, maybe throw it to you first. Are you starting to warm on Cooley and his team?
Well, especially after the last podcast we had where Cooley was able to kind of defend himself and, kind of dive deep into his team and give some reasons why he's performing the way he is. I'm starting to come around on his team. He doesn't have any running backs, but his wide receivers just consistently get him points, and normally one of them pops on any given week. It's not the same one that week in and week out. This week it just happened to be Corey Davis. Mike, you look at your team. I mean, you mentioned it. You put up 117.84 points, and that's a solid week. You don't really have any big stinkers on your lineup or anyone on your bench that you could have moved out. Maybe Myers, just because he had 2.5 points, but you've been playing him every week and he's been in your starting lineup. So even with that, I think you made every right call you would have. It's just Cooley finds a way to win it, and that's what he's been doing the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, Nick, I'll throw it over to you next here. But yeah, I mean, Myers is the only one, but even if I make my best move and I put Ruggs in for him, Ruggs scores 10 more points and I still lose. And that would have been a terrible play except for the last second touchdown Ruggs caught. So, Nick, anything else you're seeing in this? You starting to warm on Cooley at all?
Yeah, I'm starting to warm on Cooley. I think I'm finally I guess I would be confident with Corey Davis earlier in the season, but he's actually legitimate. Like, we can't say he's back from the grave. He's back. He's a stud. He's performing week in and week out. So, between him and –
do you think any of that has to do with the fact that, I mean, Cleveland was up in that game 35 points in a quarter and a half? I mean, they played over half that game, losing significantly. Which played into Troy's. Derrick Henry didn't have a good game because they didn't run the ball. So to that point, I think Corey Davis's numbers were maybe a little inflated, where they won't be this week. But it's still
looking at his floor though. His floor is 9 points. Looking at all his games when he's playing, it's
he had that
if
one
he has
dud,
the potential to pop like that.
But everything else,
that was a couple weeks ago, that 1-0 game. And then Johnson just continues to be a stud too. He's going to have to rely heavy on his wide receivers going forward, but he kind of has a easier matchup against me this week in the first round of the playoffs. So with Koo, I'm a little nervous. So
the other thing too really is Lamar Jackson really hasn't performed at all this year, and I watched a lot of that game last week, and he just looks like he's getting his explosiveness back. He looked pretty solid running the ball, so they might just abandon throwing it all in general and just take off with him running, kind of like we saw last year. So that's something that Cooley's got to really be liking, that he's just getting those points on the ground.
Yeah, and
4 rushing yards. Yeah.
To that point, you see, he didn't look good throwing the ball. He had 100 yards, 107 passing yards. He did not look good throwing the ball at all. I will say, every team's not the Dallas Cowboys, right? J.K. Dobbins had 71 yards and a touchdown. Gus Edwards went over 100 yards on the ground. Lamar Jackson had another 94. Yeah, so I don't think that you can expect those rushing numbers every game, and that's why I'm still not totally sold on Lamar, just because he hasn't been able to throw it very well at all season. But if he can do something like this, he'll get it done. The last thing I really just want to kind of touch on with both this matchup and I believe it's our next one. Yeah, so all these are out of my division. So me, Cooley, Jordan, and Troy. There was a little bit of hate earlier in the year about our division had a bunch of teams with poor records, but if you look at Cooley's lineup but add Saquon Barkley into it, like, that's a terrifying team, and he's got that coming next year. Like, if you look at my lineup with Zeke maybe back in that offense and Taylor and Dobbins back next year with a year under their belt, like, I think that I've got a scary team, with maybe a couple of guys added in from the draft. We've talked about Troy multiple times, that his team is just can bury you, and then you look at Jordan. We've talked about this too, that when he gets McCaffrey and when he gets Dak and when he gets Cortland Sutton, we don't even remember that he has Cortland Sutton waiting to boost his receivers. Like, this division, I think, is going to go from what looks like the worst division to probably the best, if not one of the best.
We'll have to see. The Les Cook, the pitch for the Les Cook division was on.
Yeah, the currently named Les Cook division. So we'll see we'll see how Cooley renames it. So our division winners get to rename their divisions. So Benny and Monroe will see what they come up with for theirs as well. So let's jump into our last one. not the game of the week, but maybe it should have been. So the SCLSU Mud Dogs and Coach Troy Hecht taking the loss to Lick McCaff and my DAC 117-76. Jordan getting himself a win. Troy was a 13-point favorite in this, but Jordan covered that. Jordan, I never lost faith. I picked you in this. I gave you the absolute guarantee, and you did not disappoint. It was nice to see Sam Darnold have a good game after I guaranteed that he would also, and I'm happy that worked out. But
I thought your guarantee was Sam Darnold would throw a passing touchdown. Mims.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take partial credit because
we'll take back half of that. There.
Listen to this though. Mims
2-point conversion doesn't count.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. Mims caught an end zone. Mims got a ball in the end zone in his hands, and they scored points. That's pretty much. So I'll take 1/3 credit for the 2 points out of 6. I'll take 1/3 credit.
You thought you tried to just slide that through there without anyone really noticing.
Yeah, good check.
No one pays attention. No one pays attention when I talk. But yeah, no, this was an interesting game. We were all excited to see how it was going to play out, and it did not go how most of us thought it was gonna. I think we should give Troy a week to stew, but maybe we could try to get Troy on the show next week when he's cooled down a little bit. What do you guys think about that?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'd be a great person to bring on.
So Jeff, as far as the game itself, what'd you see in it? What really put Troy, in a hole he couldn't come back from?
On Troy's side of the matchup, Kirk getting 0.7, James White getting 1.6, Derrick Henry, basically abandoning the run because they were down so big that you touched on in that Browns game. Hooper not really scoring much. I mean, he just didn't have anyone really that performed well. Even Patrick Mahomes getting 19.32, that's below his average. So I'd be surprised if anyone really hit their average or on Troy's side. But you look over at Jordan's side on this matchup, Darnold, Gaskins, Marvin Jones, Tanya, it's just like guys you wouldn't really expect to perform, put up decent numbers for him. And that's what carried him to a win. He had a few guys on the bench that went off, but it didn't matter. He had enough in the starting lineup to pull this one out. So
yeah, and we touched on it a little bit on the live stream, but yeah, like even Tyler Boyd, he catches a 72-yard touchdown and then gets ejected from the game. The game script for Derrick Henry, the game script for James White. They scored a couple defensive and special teams touchdowns. They didn't need to do anything. They won 45-0. They weren't worried about their offense and how they were getting it done. So. Nothing. It just was the perfect storm where nothing worked out for Troy. Nick, what else you seen in this?
Yeah, I mean, I was paying real close attention to this because my team wasn't performing at all, and I was not confident in the win. Luckily, I slid it by. We talked about earlier. So yeah, when Crowder and Ty were just going off on Jordo's bench, I was like, oh no. I mean, you would never have started Ty. He's been just dead and gone the whole year. So
he's been the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's played good
I know,
the last
it's
2
just,
weeks.
You start looking
Pittman.
at putting him in your lineup now, though?
My dad
after 2 weeks, is that enough?
My dad started him last week in our other dynasty league, and was the high scoring team on the week because of that and a couple other bold moves. But I think you got to. He's playing really well. I think he has Houston this upcoming week, which is a good matchup for him.
He just played Houston. He's playing Vegas this next week.
Vegas.
Houston
Again,
the following week.
Yeah, so 2 great matchups coming up. I think you got to roll with him. He's showing you he can do it, and you've known in the past he can. So
it's scary, but yeah, you might have to. 11 targets, 8 reception this past week. The previous week, 5 targets, 4 receptions for both 16 and 21. So yeah, I would think about starting them too.
Yeah, and especially when you look at Jordan's wide receiver options, they're not the greatest in the world. So I would think he would probably have to go that way.
Right. Yeah.
So with that game, that brings our current records, including the bonus win that Nick and I picked up. Jeff retains the lead at 21-9. I'm a half game behind him now at 21-10. And Nick is another game behind there at 20-11. So Jeff's got a half game on me and a game and a half on Nick. So this will be really interesting as we come down the wire here. It's got a little closer because of this week. So with that, let's hop into a quick filler segment.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
This here's Mike's. Will it happen?
So I'll take this one, Mike. There's been kind of a heightened awareness on this player. A lot of people are tuning in to see his scores. Will Cooley's kicker, Koo, score more than 17 points this week?
Ooh, revenge game.
Yep. He's done it multiple times this year. Which way are you leaning?
It will not happen.
That was Mike's.
Ooh.
Will it happen?
All right, with that out of the way, let's hop into the next one.
Dive on into the Husky League matchups.
All right, the Husky League matchups are a little light this week, being that we got a couple teams on bye. So before we jump into our first actual matchup, let's just do some of this off the cusp here. I know that Ben and Kyle Monroe both on byes this week. We'll count this for a half game. How about that? For a half game towards our standings, who do you pick, Ben versus Kyle Monroe, straight up? I'm going to pick Monroe, and I have a feeling you guys will too.
Yeah,
I'll roll with Kamo as well.
Yeah, I'm picking Kamo as well. We're talking about Will Fuller not being there, and Ben going through a little bit of tough time with that. So, I'm going. I am left-handed for that one.
Well, that was pointless. So same thing. We'll do the same thing on the losers bracket. So we got Jordan and Jeff going at it straight up. So before we take this pick, I will go ahead and hand this off.
Jeff's Keep On Cooking.
Who wants some man meat? I do. I want some man meat.
And this week's Jeff's Keep On Cooking is brought to you by the Park Rangers of Yellowstone Park. Watch out for bear attacks. It's really hard to clap without two arms.
Oh, thank you, Yellowstone, for that that sponsorship on this year. Bears, I love bears. You just got to watch out for them and those attacks that come out their random way.
Big bear fan.
So, Jeff's Keep On Cooking player this week. It doesn't quite matter because Jordan's on a bye, but I got Aaron Jones going. He had he's got a perfect matchup against the Lions here this week, and I think he's just going to run all over those guys, and he's going to get in the end zone a couple times and eclipse that 20-point margin. So.
Yeah, so in this one, in part because of Aaron Jones, as well as, he's on a hot streak, he's on a winning streak. So I'm taking Jordan to take you head to head in this one, Jeff. Nick, how about you?
I'm also taking Jordan. He's hot, baby.
Jeff, you having faith in yourself, or are you taking Jordan?
Not this week with Jacobs out. I'm gonna roll with Jordan.
No confidence.
Sweep.
So these were totally pointless.
Oh, I wanted to do a double up again, Jeff.
Double up on the half game one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's disappointing. I was really hoping that Jeff would pick himself, so we had some dissent, but that's okay. We'll hop into our first actual matchup of the week. So it's going to be the Exalted Archduke and Old Man Joe taking each other on. Joe is our 6-point favorite right now. Based on the lines that our a longtime friend of the show, Tony Fisher, sent in. Make sure you guys go bet with Tony. But this is tough for me. When my team, I don't have a quarterback that I feel like I can start this week. I mean, I have to start someone, obviously, but it's probably going to have to be Derek Carr. But I don't feel good about that. Playing against Indy, it just hurts. That, along with tight end, I really thought I had someone in Jonnu Smith, and he's just not been playing good. That's why I felt comfortable trading Tanyan away for the hope that maybe Zach Ertz would go somewhere else in free agency next year. Those two positions, it's tough to just have nothing at those two positions. So it's tough. I am going to take myself in this. I think my running backs have some good matchups. I think Zeke's got a good matchup this week. I am scared of Joe's wide receivers. I think they're much better than mine. I'm scared of David Montgomery, who's been playing really well. But I'm rolling with me. So, I don't know about you guys. Jeff, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, David Montgomery almost made the Jeff's keep on cooking, but had to give it to Aaron Jones. So with that, I am actually going to pick that Joe covers this game. He's got some injuries that need to get ironed out, more, see how that ankle comes back. If Debo can play, maybe he sets him up into a starting lineup, but I'm rolling with Joe on this, and I think he hands you a loss, Mike, and he covers his spread.
All right, Nick, what about you? What are you seeing? Anything that maybe you'd be on my side?
Well, no, I'm going to take Joe on this one. I'm going to continuously bet against you. You burnt me one too many times, Mike, and when I didn't,
fool me 4 times. Shame on me.
Yeah, exactly. And I like Joe's team. It's really solid there. That we talked about that receiving core being great. Golf against New England, though, we'll see how that goes pretty soon here. I can't bet with you again, Mike. Not against Joe Tom, the old man. Consistency is his forte. So
I can't be mad about it. I will say I'm going to give myself the confidence I need, because this is
Mike's against the expert's pick.
Are you gonna listen to a big dummy, or are you gonna listen to me?
I'm making my own confidence here. I'm gonna take myself. Patrick's got my back, so I don't need
that. That Chargers versus Falcons game, I think that's going to be a pretty high scoring game. So with Joe having Henry and Keenan Allen in there, that's going to be pretty tough to overcome there, Mike.
Yeah, I agree.
Ronald Jones against Minnesota too.
I know that I have a very tough go at it, but I believe. I think Zeke has a big bounce back game this week. He had a good game against Baltimore. I think he maintains that with the good Cincy matchup. So I'm confident that my running backs and the couple of receivers, I think Mike Evans has a good week this week. So I'm confident that I can overcome those couple holes I've got in my roster right now. So let's jump on to the other toilet bowl bracket matchup. So we got the SCLSU Mud Dogs and Coach Troy Hecht taking on Ball is Life and Coach John Lamer. So we got Troy as an 11-point favorite in this one. Jeff, maybe I'll throw it to you first. What do you see in this one?
I think, and I don't know why I'm going with this, I think Troy does not cover this matchup. I think John keeps it pretty close, even despite probably Derrick Henry bouncing back with a tremendous game. John mentioned earlier this week, every time he goes against Derrick Henry, he ends up putting up like 30-plus points. So I don't know. I got a feeling that John's team's going to keep it just close enough where Troy's not going to cover this 11-point spread. I mean, he's got Edwards-Helaire, he's got Akers going, so he's got 2 rookie running backs that in Akers has been pretty decent. Metcalf has the ability to go off for large points. They're playing the Jets. Judy didn't look good last week, but maybe he bounces back. And then, you've seen it with Troy. His team can put up a lot of points, or they can put up very little points. So you're betting on he doesn't have a monster week. So I think he's kind of a boomer bust type team. So
yeah. So Nick, I'll hand it to you next. I know you've given up on betting on me, but have you given up on betting on John?
I mean, I don't know if I've really even bet on John, to be honest, most of the year. And I'm going to continue that streak. Yeah, really early. I never was in on it. So I think I'm taking Troy in this one. I see Derrick Henry against the Jags, and I feel like he's going to have a bounce back game and go off. And I'd like to be curious to see his winning percentage when both Mahomes and Henry go off. It's probably very high. So
damn near all the games that they've all had good. They both had good games, but
yeah, I can see.
Oh yeah, because when those guys go off, they put up huge numbers. So I mean, he outscores those matchups on the other side of the game by a pretty big margin, I would imagine. So
it does scare me about Kirk. He has 3 bad games, really bad games. And I don't know what happened, if it's a Seattle or a New York thing, but last game, Seattle didn't do diddly against him. So I think Metcalf had 10 or something, or 12.
Yeah, and I think New York has a sneaky good defense. I think people lose sight of that because they're such a bad team as a whole. But them and Washington's in the same boat. People, you have this perception of they're a bad team, so they must be a bad defense. You don't see often where a team's just got a dominant defense, but then they're so inept on offense that they still can't win a game. So I think the Giants have a sneaky good defense. So I wouldn't put that on Seattle too much. I think DK is still a good play in this game. With that said, I'm taking Troy by a mile. I think every other position other than DK, I like Troy in.
I do like Tom Brady though against the Vikings. I think that could have potential if he connects on Antonio Brown with a deep touchdown. John could get some points pretty fast there. So
or Mike Evans.
No. I see the game script on that one. I see the game script on that one of being a lot of running, Ronald Jones on going off, because
probably.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah. Tampa Bay's rush defense is decent, isn't it?
Tampa Bay has an incredible rush defense.
Yeah, so I think Minnesota's going to kind of hide in this game, and I think they're going to run the ball over Minnesota too. So we'll see what happens.
So
that goes into it too.
Before we leave this game, I do have an item in my notes that I want to touch on.
Nick's Garbage Time All-Star.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
So we're back at this. I'm not happy about picking this. I haven't been great at it, as you've known. But if Stafford plays here, he's got a little thumb issue. Really any quarterback for Detroit, I feel like is going to have a garbage time touchdown against Green Bay. I think Detroit's going to get absolutely blown out. So let's see there. I keep thinking teams are going to get blown out, and then it just doesn't freaking happen. Last week, Kansas City, Denver. It's like, what the?
Right. I think Stafford is probably the king of garbage time. So if there's any week that you're going to get it right, Nick, I think this is a pretty safe one. So
probably.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, let's hop into to the winners bracket and the people who actually have a shot at the championship here. So we got the Taint Ticklers and Coach Nick Stoll taking on Grizzly Adams and Coach Alex Cooley. Cooley being the 9-point favorite in this one right now. Nick, I'll toss this one over to you fresh and right away and let you break down what you're seeing in this matchup.
As we were talking about, Cooley's receivers are pretty solid. It's scary looking forward, especially my team with injuries right now. I mean, I relied heavily on Gibson, Kamara, and Wilson to win most of my games, and then just hoping for 10 points out of the rest of these guys. So with Gibson being doubtful, I don't think he's playing. David Johnson slides up to my RB2, and Galladay's still out. I'm rolling with Pittman and freaking Chark, so that's where I'm at. I'll have to have Grizzly Adams have a down game, I think, for me to pull this off. And I got to pick myself, though. I'm saying Cooley will not cover. After all that, I'm being – yeah.
With that 9-point spread, I don't think that's a bad pick. I'm going to pick Cooley in this one. I like Cooley's team better, and with how well he's playing, it's tough to bet against him, despite the fact that I maintain that it's tough to win playoff games, especially with gaping holes in your lineup. But this is a game where really both of you do that. Both of you have that. You're missing like you mentioned Gibson and Galladay that would really change the whole makeup of your team. But so I'm going to pick Cooley. I think he will cover this. I'll take him with the 9 points. Jeff, well, I want to throw it over to you.
Yeah, I got the same pick as you, Mike. I got Cooley covering this. It'd be a different story if Galladay, if you had one of those players, Nick, if you had Gibson or Galladay and you could slide one of those guys into your starting lineup, I think I would sway my pick the other way. But, Hines just finds a way to get Cooley decent points. If Gurley's back and healthy out there playing and he gets in for a touchdown, that just bodes well for him. And his receiving core has put up the points with Travis Kelce getting, probably right around 20 on average. I don't know what it is, but always right around that 20 mark. I just see Cooley having a decent game and finding a way to win like he has the last couple weeks. So I got Cooley.
Yep, I agree. So let's hop over to the last matchup and probably the most exciting one, just because it's two teams that are they're playing really good football right now, and they're going to collide here. So we got the Aaron Rodgers football team and Coach Tony Fisher taking on the Southwestern Bandicoots and Coach Kyle Stankowski. So Stank is a 3-point favorite in this one. I'm curious to see where you guys land on this before I give my analysis. So Jeff, let's give you this one first. What are you seeing, and who you picking?
So this I'm going to go with is this is going to be our game of the week here. I think we're going to have quite a bit of scoring. It's going to be back and forth. Both of these teams have been pretty dominant throughout the full year. Stank being hot, Tony having just a solid team. Is if his guys can be healthy, that's a lineup you don't want to run up against. But Tony's got some good matchups in this game. I mentioned on the other matchup that Atlanta Chargers and Tony's got Eckler, Herbert going. You know, it's Mark Andrews back. If Swift is able to go against Green Bay, you know, that's a game changer because Green Bay's defense can't seem to defend the running back. So if Swift's out there, I think he puts up decent numbers. But on the other side of it, Robinson might be a little bit banged up. It looks like Adams rolling. As always, when I looked at this matchup, I don't like the Carolina-Denver game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points, and you know, Stank's got 3 guys going in that matchup, and that's really what put me over to Tony's picking him on this week.
Yeah, and I will say in that matchup, before I throw it over to Nick, you know, it looks like DJ Moore's got COVID plus a little bit of an injury, so he's not looking like he's going to play. Curtis Samuel is currently on the COVID list. He was a close contact. And Christian McCaffrey looking like he's going to be out another game. So at some point you run out of weapons, and Robbie Anderson's all that's left. So I like Robbie Anderson this week. But Nick, curious to see who you're picking. So Jeff, you picked Tony, is that correct?
Yep. Stank won't cover this. I got Tony.
I have Stank covering this one. He's been red hot the last couple of games. I actually like a lot of his matchups. Tannehill against Jacksonville. We'll see. That game script may be just feed the ball to Derrick Henry. But I mean, they both have Jefferson and Adam Thielen in a game where I'm thinking they're going to have to pass the ball unless it's totally slowed down and all the carries are going Ronald Jones' way and Tampa Bay just controls the ball. But Devontae Adams against Detroit, that's going to be a big game. I'm going with Stank here. He's too hot right now to go against him.
So here's the real reason I wanted you two to go first is because this game to me is an absolute coin flip. I really wanted both of you to pick one way so I could go the other way, and at least we'd have some differing opinions. But seeing that you guys are already split, like I said, I look at these teams and every time I see a guy, like I see Chris Carson and Austin Eckler, like, oh man, they have great matchups, but then you look right across and James Robinson and Melvin Gordon have just as good of matchups. The only guys that, Devontae Parker with Tua just hasn't looked very good. I don't like him, but then I look across and Adam Thielen is pulling Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense plays really well some games, so he could be a guy that gets shut down. Honestly, Parker's
been getting some red zone looks from Tua though the last game especially. They haven't connected by any means, but
they're trying. The problem is, so he's getting the targets. The problem is those targets look bad.
They're not even close.
I don't know if you've like watched the play calling that they do, but it's like they try to run. This is how I'd equate it. It's like my high school coach was like, I got a 6'7" wide receiver. Let's just throw end zone fades. And that's all they want to do with Devontae Parker. But rather than throwing it up when he's got a little cornerback on him, they, wait till he's covered by a 6'3" corner and then they throw it like a dart rather than an actual fade. And it just doesn't look good. Like the ideas may be there, like, okay, he's got one-on-one coverage, but they don't let him make a move. They don't, the play calling looks really bad. And the throws look bad as well on those targets. So I just don't love Devontae Parker personally. my difference here. So I think that Tony wins, assuming Swift does not play. Because if Swift does not play, I think Wayne Gallman slides in there, and I think Wayne Gallman is a fantastic start this week against that Arizona defense that is just really bad. And Wayne's been putting up really good games the last 3 or 4 games. So I'm gonna pick Tony in this because that's what I expect. I expect Swift to sit another week. But just know that if Swift goes, I'm not happy about it. I'm standing by my pick, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, he's trying to do a little double back.
No. My pick is my pick. I stay with it no matter who Tony plays. But Tony, when you listen to this, just know that you should play Wayne Gallman.
Would you entertain the thought of Gallman over Carson, or probably not Eckler by any means, but would you put him over Carson?
Not with that matchup. Not against the Jets.
Yeah, Jets.
Yeah,
but I would flex Gallman over. I mean, I'd play Gallman over. If Devontae Parker was in the flex, I'd play him over him. I'd play him over Swift. If they said Swift is in, he's full go, I wouldn't trust that they're going to give him the workload he was getting before.
That's true.
I think they're going to split it with Peterson, especially in this first game back. I would, regardless of the news, I'd be playing Gallman if I was the manager here. But I'm not, and so we'll see what Tony ends up doing in this one. But I'm going to take Tony.
I think Peterson is kind of, the last 2 games, I think he's got 4 touchdowns, so he's getting all the red zone close yardage work. So, yeah, to your point, Mike, maybe Tony just, even if Swift is active, just goes Gallman. So
yeah. So all right, well, we now that we've made all of our picks, I'm curious to see what our guest today has to say. So we had a chance, the 3 of us, to sit down with a little special someone, Coach Benny and the Jets. So let's why not jump over there for a little bit and take a quick look at the interview we were able to do with him, and then we'll meet you guys back here. So let's take a look. All right, so we got our Radishcast guest here today, Benny of Team Benny and the Jets. So Ben, welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thanks, Commish. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I know you've got the week off. No reason to really set a lineup. You're kind of just hanging out with the bye week, but really want to go over a couple questions with you, and then maybe see your thoughts on some of the other games around the league. But so to start with, I'm really just curious, reflecting on your own team a little bit. Will Fuller getting that suspension, that's gotta hurt. Kareem Hunt hasn't really been playing the same ever since Nick Chubb came back. I know you're sitting out this week. You got the bye, but how you feeling confidence-wise about your team after that?
Yeah, you guys alluded to it last week on the podcast in terms of Will Fuller, and that one hurts. You guys talked about my depth and nailed it pretty spot on in terms of, a backup receiver is MVS, who I think we're going to bury at the bottom of the bench, possibly for the rest of eternity. Or we got Russell Gage or Amendola, which I don't think is the worst option if Galladay continues to sit out for the Ticklers. But Hunt, you just hope that he gets enough touches to get you into double digits. But the big one, it hurts with Will Fuller, because probably down 10 points a game on average would be my guess going forward with that suspension.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, he gets you a lot of points and can turn any play into a touchdown with just how explosive he is. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what form of lineup you throw out there for the playoffs here. Which one if you're going to be picking off solely on between those matchups that those guys you mentioned, or if you're just going to pick one and ride with them. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, it'll be tough losing Fuller there. Oof. Yeah, he's probably going to go matchups, is my opinion, if I was him. Hoping Galladay's out too, just continue to be out, and Amendola being a decent starter. So we want to move on to the next question?
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Take it
away.
All right.
That's kind of what I figured. All right, Benny, so how important is getting a bye the first round of the playoffs? Especially with that Will Fuller incident, at least limiting the games that you have to play with those injuries too. How important do you think that bye is?
It was huge. Just being solidified in that number 2 seed was very comforting going into the weekend, especially playing a hot Bandicoots team. I think they've won 7 out of their last 8. So didn't feel a whole lot of pressure last week going into it, which was nice. And then this week, obviously with the bye, we'll just sit back and see how everybody else is doing and start scheming for the following week in round 2 of the playoffs.
Another week of prep time, huh, Ben?
That's right.
You know what dangerous.
They say, 2 weeks of prep.
Kind of helps too with James Conner kind of injured here the last couple of weeks. It gives you another week to get him fully up to speed and, you know, maybe slide him into that flex position there. But yeah, you were the only one I think that had anything locked up going into that week 13 rivalry week. And so got to feel nice having that secured for the playoffs already.
Yeah, which was kind of interesting being the 2 seed's the one who's locked in. But usually maybe there's one guy who's pulled away from everybody and he's sitting pretty. But that's a great point in terms of the James Conner thing. This at least gives me a week to kind of see how things shake up in terms of him coming off the COVID list and see if Snell is going to continue to snipe a TD here and there from him. But that's kind of been more and more frustrating as the year has gone on with the Steelers committing to the passing game.
Or try to score like last week where I think he got stuffed 3 times on the 1 yard line.
I think it might have been more than 3 because I think they got a penalty, so he got some extra downs.
Kenyon Drake-esque, if you will, right, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
Jeff knows your pain.
Yep.
Just bitches.
I feel your pain.
You just bitches.
But, all right, Benny, I got a question for you here. It kind of goes back to your bet with Stank. You know, are you, based on our comments and everything on the past couple of shows, are you leaning more to getting the ass spanking or jumping in the snow? Which one are you kind of wanting to do more? I doubt you have snow over in that area at this point. So let's hear what your thoughts are. Did you alter this bet a little bit, or did you are you going to stick to what it was originally?
Yeah, we're going to stick to what it is. We don't have any snow here in Appleton, Wisconsin, which isn't the worst. Coach Cooley called me out on it right away after watching a couple of weeks ago podcast that he thought I was going to lose on purpose just so I could have my wife, Emily, just so I could get a little action that night. But let's say it was good that was solidified, and we'll send you a video soon.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that for sure.
I'm sure Ben is too.
And the kind of the side thing too that goes hand in hand with this bet is the Jaeger bombs. You know, probably your favorite drink of all time, Benny, at least in our experience. So I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's been a while since doing a Jaeger bomb, so you can thank Coach Trihecht for introducing me to Jaeger bombs, and every Jaeger bomb I'll do for the rest of my life is a salute to Coach Hecht.
Yeah. Speaking of Emily a little bit there, I do just want to point out, you know, Ben Stelzer always a longtime friend of the show. But Emily, you know, Emily Stelzer, the biggest contributing member to the Radishcast success. She is by far our biggest donor of all times. She has helped support this cast through thick and thin over the year.
Over the year.
She's been there from the start.
She tunes in. She tunes in once in a while. We watch her together, certain clips. She's a big fan of the baby talk that won her over from podcast number 1. So.
Gotcha. Yep.
Nice.
That isn't any foreshadowing, just to make that clear. In terms of
we're gonna have to start talking to Ben and see what's up.
The segment's ready.
Let us know. Just making sure that's clear. But
whenever you're ready, Ben, the segment's ready for you.
Oh yeah. All right, let's move on to that next question. Who are you hoping to face between me and Cooley next week, Ben? I think I know the answer to this, but
I mean, looking at your guys' matchup, it's going to be an interesting one. That's always hard because you don't want to hope for a certain team because it seems, regardless in sports over the years, if you hope for somebody and it ends up happening, you see that biting you in the ass type deal. So I would say I honestly am not hoping for anybody. If somebody would be on the COVID list without being seriously sick, that would be all right with me for the winning team. But that's about all I'm hoping for.
Just a close
Careful
contact.
Careful what you wish for, Benny. You might get some text messages sent your way, some angry ones, and people start rooting against you.
Yeah, Jeff.
Oh boy.
Jeff has been known to root for an injury from time to time.
Yeah,
I probably
injury.
should
That's
have
messed
said
up,
that.
Jeff.
Okay, well, I got a couple questions, and it's more of a series of 4, Benny. With these matchups here in the first round of the playoffs, just straight up, who do you like in the Tony versus Stank matchup? Who do you think got the edge on that one?
Stank coming off 7 out of his last 8 in terms of winning, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Stank mentioned that his last loss was to Tony. So that matchup, I think, has some extra intrigue to it. It's hard to go against Stank right now, just with the way he's got things rolling, and Tony, 2 big matchups in a row, obviously playing for the division last week and now this week playoffs. But it'll be interesting. But I don't know if I could go against Stank with the way he's got things going.
Is that who you're taking then? If you had to make a pick, taking Stank?
Yeah, would say so.
Okay.
Yeah, Stank's projected to win that game too by 3 points right now. So.
Yeah, and I guess the next one we kind of touched on it. I don't think we really got a straight answer from you which one you're hoping to face or not. But in the Cooley versus Taint Ticklers matchup, who do you think is going to ultimately pull this victory out?
We got the politician answer.
The politician.
These are 2 great teams. I just you love to see them. It's tough, both tough teams. I don't.
Well, I didn't say they were great, to be clear, but
that was the last game. This one,
yeah. I mean, I really don't mind who will play. Just more worried about my own team. I know that's a politician answer again, but it may come down to the kicking battle. And
we know which way that leans.
Yeah.
You got to give the edge to Cooley. But Russell and Kamara, you guys are obviously talking about it. So, I mean, they just haven't been the same the last few weeks, which hurts Nick. And you got to think Russell is going to bust back out one of these games. And I'm sure Cooley's just hoping it's not this one. Gurley, I had him in my other league this year. He's been frustrating, especially the last handful of weeks. So,
yep.
Galladay, who knows if he plays, Nick?
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to. Me and Jeff were talking about before we started recording. He's trending down. I don't think he practiced today either. So pretty sure he won't play this week. So
yeah, Cooley's favored by a little bit, and Kelsey's could be a big boom guy. I might go with Grizzly Adams. He hasn't gotten much love on this show, but
long time enemy of the show, Alex Cooley.
I think you mean bitch.
We're past rivalry week. I can go back to the occasional bitch now.
All right, we got 2 more here. Benny, who do you like in the Troy versus John matchup? Who you got? Who do you think is going to pull this one out?
The Troy's had some ups and downs. He had the crazy week a couple weeks ago, and then dropped back down to the 60s or whatever it was last week. And
yeah,
he's got. I'll go with Troy, just in terms of he's got the guys who can break out again. And
I was gonna say on the other side of the ball, you got the guy that lives in the 60s. He doesn't go up and down.
Never breaks it.
We'd have to look it up, but I think John might actually average upper 60s for his points. I'm not really sure, so. And then finally, our last matchup here, we got Joe versus the commish Mike. Who are you taking in this one?
Be careful, I can kick you out of the league.
Oh my! Can he do that? Does he have that power?
It's in the fine print.
Yeah.
Shit.
I think this is going to be a close one. And obviously, when you pull up the projections, it's looking like a close one. But Zeke, that's a tough blow to you, Mike. Just in terms you're thinking, I mean, he had that one more normal week a couple weeks ago. Like, he can go for 20 anytime probably, but it's not like he's injured for the year where you can't play him.
He does have Cincinnati this week, and he's coming off of a 95 scrimmage yard game against the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm confident in my boy this week. He has been disappointing ever since Dak went down, but not to sway you or anything.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to sway him in the other direction. Every time I go with Mike, he usually loses on me by a lot.
Yeah, but you're not Ben.
That's true.
With that
Michael
information,
convinced me.
With that information that makes me lean towards Mike, but I got to go with my gut still here. I'm going with Old Man Joe. And as you mentioned, I think Chartier would be a fun guy to see after do the last place video.
Yeah.
But Mike, I would probably pay extra in our league fee next year if you did the last place video. So partially probably wants to see that too.
If I do take last, I will accept tips. So especially to cover the cost of the amount of money I'm probably going to spend on it.
Yeah, there's no doubt you'll go all out.
It would be extravagant.
It's gonna be hype.
All right, Benny. So one last thing before we let you go, I do want to cut over to your segment. As we all know, everyone in the league's got a couple segments. So Benny, this week, let's take a look at yours.
3, 2, 1.
Benny's Take Flight Jet of the Week.
So Benny's Take Flight Jet of the Week. So this is a player or a manager maybe that's been a little down. Maybe they've been grounded for a couple weeks here, and they're about to take off. They're about to soar. So Benny, I think we got some video cut out here, but it's for good reason. So we got a costume change, some Roncalli Jet apparel, a little robe or something coming on. Ooh, I love it. This is the greatest show of all time. All right, Benny, so who is your Jet of the Week? I think our costume change might have damaged some audio there.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing you.
He lost one of the little earpieces for AirPods. Yeah.
I can only imagine how fast he pulled his shirt off.
Yeah.
And that shirt's probably 3 rooms over at this point.
I think the best part is
just gone.
Is we one cut this, so this is in the show.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's so funny. He says I can't find it.
You might just have to turn them off and go computer audio for the end here.
Yeah, I think that's
suspense is killing
right
me.
I want to know.
I'm excited.
We can go back and read his lips, I guess.
Who the Take Flight Jet is.
We are getting way up there, pretty high right now. So
anticipation's killing me. Emily, go say it.
Help!
Longtime donor of the show, coming to help.
Coming to help, switch it around.
Who knew Emily worked in the IT department too?
IT department.
She does it all.
Official IT support of the Radishcast. Is that the name? Radishcast?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's out there.
All right, Benny, let's hear it. Our Take Flight Jet of the Week.
I lost an earbud there. So the Take Flight Jet of the Week is Ronald Jones. Literally grounded last week in terms of having a bye, but I mean, you look at his games without Leonard Fournette, he was averaging over 100 yards a game. Recently in the news,
Coach Bruce Arians talking about we got to get the guy more touches. Whenever he's had more touches, he's had good games. So take flight, Jet of the week. Coach is installing some confidence back into him. He needs that confidence. That's the type of guy he is. He's gonna have a big game and get her going for the Bucks to finish out the last few weeks here.
All right, you heard it here. He's not only taking Joe, but he's picking his take flight Jet of the week against me. So it's going to be a painful week for the Archduke, it seems like, if Ben is any indication. We appreciate you stopping by, Ben. We appreciate you taking the time. Looking forward to, the fact that we got you on the show. Looking forward to the playoffs here. You got your bye, and hopefully you can come out and replace Will Fuller somehow and make a run at it. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you later.
Thanks Benny.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It's Monday.
All right. Well, we're back from that. That was quite the show there with Coach Benny. You never a dull moment when he's on the show here. You guys, any key takeaways from that interview?
Benny, this is why I have this little cord right here, just plugged right in. Always right there, buddy.
Yeah, shout out to Emily for IT support. That's good stuff.
Yep. He's got those AirPods because I didn't know Ben was rich, but apparently he's rich. But maybe they're not all they're cracked up to be. I don't know. So, with that, we got one more segment, and then we'll call it a day. So here we go.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
Shut up, baby, I know it. Absolute guarantee.
Who wants the first guarantee this week?
I'll take it.
Jeff, hit it.
All right.
My absolute guarantee, shut up, baby, I know it, is we will see a Packers victory over the Lions this week. So
Shut up, baby, I know it.
Go.
Love it.
What the hell? That's almost as bad as my 70-point one.
Because it's gonna happen no matter what.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, there's been some
I can't even imagine a situation where
two.
Lion. Oh my gosh. We'll see, I suppose.
All right, Nick, what do you got here?
So my shut up baby absolute guarantee is that a division winner will not win the championship.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
Interesting. We are never wrong, so it's curious how that's going to compare with my Mike's will it happen that a division winner will win the playoffs.
What?
I don't know if you remember that from a couple weeks ago, but that was so I'm curious how that plays out. So yeah, all right, I'll bring up the rear here. Troy's team is not happy about the tattoo that is going on their collective asses. So my shut up baby I know it guarantee is that Troy's team is going to go full on scorched earth on John and win by at least 20 points.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
Ooh.
So
20-point margin.
Yeah, guaranteed 20 points. So with that, boys, it's been great for the regular season here. This is our last show of the regular season. We are now a playoff podcast. It's interesting, when we started this podcast, the plan was to do some trial runs throughout the year and then, release our first episode come playoff time. So it's interesting that here we are, whatever it is, seven shows later, I think. It's been fun, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs and years beyond with you guys.
Oh yeah, it's been good. I'm glad we released it early. You talked us into that, and it's been fun since.
Yep. So,
yeah, after we watched the first one, we're like, that was good enough to release. Why don't we just throw it out there? And then it's been building ever since.
No turning back. Yep. So with that, good luck to everyone this week, unless you're playing me or Nick. We will see you guys next time.
Webster's Dictionary defines radish as a swollen, pungent-tasting edible root high in potassium, which can help lower blood pressure. Or more importantly, three guys spitting nonsense and talking about fantasy football. Add salt and pepper and chomp into another episode next time. See y'all later.
Mike, were you drinking a half gallon of chocolate milk?
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up and I forgot about it. I saw you chugging that and I was like, what the fuck?